morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the cosmos today. Welcome to Kaichi Alchemy. You can call me Kachi. This is a space of love, y'all. Welcome or welcome back. I want to thank y'all so much for all those likes, shares, comments, subscribes, all the interaction that helps us to grow. And thank you for being here. Thank you for co-creating community with me. I did just pull some cards for the collective tuning in today. The energy is very soft and sleepy, but it was coming through regardless. The very first things that I pulled from the index deck for you guys were this wash. Oh, there's some glare on there, huh? I'm also trying some sheepskins in the back to see if that affects like that tinny effect in the audio. So feel free to let me know if you have any feedback about that there. Wash, and then we got violet and purple, which is giving me a lot of like crown chakra, third eye chakra, head, mind. So what I was getting from that was like brainwashing, like washing your own brain. Like you would do well to wash your own brain. And then out came eucalyptus and the lovers. There may be a nod to like romantic love here, but what I was getting from that was more washing your brain. Eucalyptus is like a freshening, renewing, clarifying kind of energy, but the lovers here is like eucalyptus or whatever your choice, like your choice, your choice of brainwashing, your choice of frequency, your choice of plant essential oil energy. I think that hydrotherapy of some sort would be very helpful for a lot of y'all. Maybe even violet or purple flowers or like additions to your baths and your rituals and things like that. Like violet is a flower, right? And then I got 3 months and forever. So I'm getting that you're being asked right now to do kind of a ritual cleansing and purifying of yourself in preparation for some time specific event in your life that is going to, in some significant way, begin in 3 months and is going to have an impact on your life forever. Alright, I think we're going to get a couple of cards from the Floral Tarot deck just to get started. But I feel like this one is very light. It's very violet, it's very purple. It's very springtime. But also sometimes I feel like it can get into the love and light, like spiritual bypassy energy. Because it's flowers, of course it is. I got a couple of cards that came out here. Let me see if I can show y'all in one go. Oh my gosh, hello! I cannot wait until I have a moderator situation set up. Yes, beautiful. Oh, sorry about that. I can't understand some other languages. Depends on the way that you're asking. I don't have romantic relationships with women, if that's the question going on there. Okay. We have the Fool, the Eight of Coins, the Nine of Swords, and the Six of Coins. Yeah. You got all those images in there. I'm pretty certain that the Fool is the daisy, but the Eight of Coins, the Nine of Swords, and the Six of Coins. Actually, I know what the sword suit is. These are lupines. I believe they're related to bluebonnets. That may be some kind of confirmation for you. Daisy may be some kind of confirmation for you for like a name or yeah. So let's look up what the coins are in the Floral Tarot deck because this is quite new to me. I just love this box. I'm going to keep showing everybody that they should by this deck. Who made it? Written by Deanna McCon Collins, illustrated by Nina Pace. Okay, so we have the Fool, we have the 8 of Coins, we have the 9 of Swords, we have the 6 of Coins. There's kind of a heavy, serious energy to that, right? Which is interesting because it starts with the Fool. It's like new beginnings and freshness and cleansing and fresh starts and, right? But then we have a bunch of coins and swords that are related to 8 of Coins is a lot about like hard work. 9 of Swords is a lot about mental hard work and like overstimulation and like overthinking and mental strife and conflict and overthinking, overworrying. And 6 of Coins is a card of giving and receiving. It can also be seen as a card of charity and oftentimes not necessarily of a reciprocal nature. So let's see here, because we did not look this up last time. It's interesting that there is some nod to love coming through here for somebody, because we had that going on yesterday, and then the reading definitely took a turn for like inner union and like preparing yourself to be the most authentic and integrated version of yourself and all the things that kind of lead to partnership. But, you know, we started talking about partnership at the beginning of the read, and then it totally veered off course, and we didn't really circle back to it. And I think that there was a message in that, in and of itself. But then I also wondered if there was like a secondary energy coming through here that we would see throughout the weeks. This is going to be an interesting week. It's the Scorpio full moon in a couple of days. I will be doing a reading on that maybe tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But I feel like that's definitely weaving through everything going on right now. Every day, every project, everybody that I know. Okay, so coins in this deck is represented by buttercups. And the guidebook says, also known as pentacles, the cards in the coin suit are tied to the earth element. Their focus is the way we move through the world as physical beings, from our physical health and sensuality to our drive to accumulate wealth. In the Floral Tarot deck, the coins are represented by buttercups. The meanings of these little flowers include work, growth, and prosperity. Growing close to the ground and spreading in blankets across meadows, they are rooted in the earth element as well as its material associations. Pardon me. And then we have the 8 of Coins and the 6 of Coins specifically come up in this read. And here it says, the 6 of Coins represents generosity, kindness, give and take. The 6 of Coins speaks to equilibrium and kindness. If you are experiencing a phase of plenty and abundance, now is the time to give generously to those in a less fortunate position. If you are in need yourself, there may be a charitable gift or overdue payment coming your way. As the benevolence of others is not a long-term solution, focus on rebuilding self-sufficiently to repay any loans and settle debts in the not-too-distant future. Yeah, rebalancing, setting things up to start fresh, cleaning up, cleaning the slate. 3 months, forever, eucalyptus, wash. Yeah. And then we had 8 of Coins, diligence, dedication, practice. You have been dedicating yourself to learning a new skill or mastering a craft, and it is beginning to pay off. There is still more practice needed to fully hone your skills, but the more you repeat the action, the better you will become. Make sure you master each individual skill before moving on to the next. You will not become an expert overnight, but practice and diligence will get you where you need to go in the long run. Generosity, kindness, give and take, diligence, dedication, practice. Yeah, it's like you are in this fresh energy because you need to be. Because there is this presence of the 9 of Swords. There is this like anxiety. There is this overwhelm, and that doesn't have to take you over. And in fact, you are being asked to remember that it doesn't have to take you over and to take practical steps in that direction. Eight of Coins as a card about developing a skill and dedicating yourself to it and practicing something. And what I'm seeing here for the large majority of you is the practice and the skill that you are practicing is balancing and managing your mental bandwidth and the way that you are interacting with people. Like, you are practicing reps in the arena of making sure that you receive when there's an imbalance, or that you give generously when there's an imbalance. Like, you are practicing the skill of reciprocity, not just of like being super generous and always returning the favor when people do something kind for you, but really becoming very aware of the stark reality and the truth, to be committed to your discernment and to know that sometimes there is a moment to be generous, to give the benefit of the doubt, to help, to assist, to extend, and sometimes it is necessary to do something that may even cause some mental anguish for others. And you have to determine, where that is your responsibility and where it is not, and where your priorities and responsibilities lie. Ideally, I would say mostly to yourself, faith, family, freedom, not like people, places, and things. Yeah. Okay, so we have the floral tarot out here. I'm going to get some Rider-Waite to clarify this and see if we have any more layers. Freya, Golly, Michael, Mary, please be here with me now. Please allow me to speak. Please allow me to channel a message for the collective tuning in here today. Please and thank you, thank you, thank you. I got Two of Swords in reverse. It says, lesser of two evils, no right choice, confusion, indecision, information overload. Yeah, so you are in a position of confusion, of a no-win situation, of a rock and a hard place. And when you end up in those situations, you really have to shake things up to move forward, because if you're in this infinite loop of confusion and indecision, and that hurricane of confusion just keeps growing, and to break free of it, it takes a lot of force, a lot of intention, a lot of fresh energy, a lot of newness. Yeah. And so you have this Fool energy that came in to shake things up, because things were not working the way that they were working. So sometimes, we may not feel like that is the easiest or the best thing in the moment. Sometimes Fool energy can be challenging, especially for people who are very resistant to change, I suppose. And then we have Temperance. It says balance, harmony, moderation, patience, being sensible, purpose, finding meaning. Yeah, so in this moment, you are finding this temperance energy. You're growing these wings, and you are titrating the two forces, the two elements in this cup, and you're putting work in. You're putting practical steps in to apply what you have learned from this shakeup, from this challenging situation that forced you into the unexpected, into a new beginning. Again, there's this dog in the backpack on the Fool, so there may be some nod to travel or relocation or displacement. And then we have the King of Pentacles. It says wealth, business, leadership, security, discipline, abundance, prosperity, generosity. And this one aligned with the Nine of Swords. So it's like whenever you are finding yourself in that overthinking space and it's kind of getting out of control, it's causing you problems, and it's making you feel like you're trapped in a web. Can you see that? Yeah. Then you're being advised to focus on grounding, to focus on your bag, whatever that is for you. It's not necessarily going to be gold or financial in that way, but whatever is, your priority, whatever is of value to you, whenever you start spinning out mentally because of all these changes and because of all this unknown and because of all of this hard work that you're having to put in the face of all of this unknown, if you feel that overwhelm, that overstimulation, and that loss of mental bandwidth, then you're being asked to ground down into your body, to spend time outside, and to focus on work, to focus on your business, to focus on your fitness, to focus on the practical, tangible things that you have direct control over in your life. You can use your hands and your feet and your arms and your voice and your yourself to create and to manipulate and to feel your power in the world exercised, in real life. And then we have the Four of Cups. On this card it says meditation, contemplation, apathy, reevaluation, disconnected. This can kind of be a discontent card, kind of disappointed, kind of dejected, missing the opportunities right in front of you. So again, that relates to the Nine of Swords back there with the overthinking. But if you're able to ground that down, then you can take that air energy and you see this cloud. There's a cloud and God's like handing you this cup, right? So when you're in this overthinking air energy, and God's going to hand you this cup from that place. And it's going to be loud and confusing, but if you can use your hands to ground your body, then you can take this overthinking energy, turn it into a cup's energy, turn it into a feeling, turn it into something that is transmutational, that is not just going to spin in a loop forever, but is going to make you cry or scream or sleep or dance or do something, if that makes any sense. So that the energy can be used up and you can move on and you can, get unstuck. So this card can often be viewed in kind of a negative light, but I'm also very much getting the meditation, contemplation, reevaluation aspect of this, right? In the upright, there's only 5 descriptive words listed on this card, and 3 of them are quite positive, I would say, even though people tend to think of the Four of Cups as a very negative card. So it's really just, reevaluating your position, your options, reevaluating reality. Again, we're coming into this Scorpio full moon energy soon here, where we are looking at the stark reality, where we are looking at our lives with the harsh truth filter, you know. We are grounded. We are freeing our shadows. We're not rejecting them or abandoning them or destroying them. We are freeing them. And we do that through meditation, contemplation, reevaluation, through sitting with the parts of ourselves that are challenging, that make us want to reject them, that make us want to run away, that make us want to disassociate, and in the face of that, making the decision to stay. That is a Pentacles energy. That is a hardworking energy. That is a mature energy. And so you're being asked to do the work of transmuting your negative thought patterns into emotional transformation through the avenue of practical endeavors. Again, work, fitness, business, maybe even art and things. Anything that you can do with your hands, with your body, with yourself, that makes a direct, tangible impact in your life and in the lives of others. I think I'm going to grab an oracle card for y'all before I leave for the day. And for whatever reason, this Heaven and Hell Angel deck has been coming through very strongly for y'all. I guess that's not too surprising considering the intense Scorpio vibes that we are dealing with today. Thank you so much for all of the comments. I know I haven't been able to respond to all of them yet, and I will get there one day. But I do appreciate the interaction and okie dokie. I'm not going to keep these because that was quite a lot, but just real quick, Raphael, love and submission. Oh, some of these are reversed. Okay, Raphael, love and submission. Gap, rebellion. Arias, theft and destruction. Rael, liberation. Aniel, breaking the circle. And, okay, so that's 39, 33, 59, 29, 37. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at these ones that have the demons, you know, that came up in the reverse. Theft and destruction and rebellion, and the reverse in the upright are submission to higher order and intellectual riches. Rebellion, submission to a higher order, theft and destruction, intellectual richness. Ooh. Okay, it felt important because those ones were upside down to read them out to y'all, but I did have, oh, where'd it go? That's so funny. I had the first card that came out, and it ended up back in the deck or something. Okay, so you may have a little bit of a detour in your near future. You may have just had a little bit of a detour. But I feel that all of these energies still, you know, represent the same thing that I was speaking to earlier. Either way. Monakel, knowledge of good and evil. In the reverse, it is Simius, physical and moral imperfections. Right? So, physical and moral imperfections imply that there is a perfect physique, a perfect morality. And you could argue that, objectively speaking, and I think a lot of people would. Um, when we're using these kinds of words, it's useful to think in that kind of a manner. So, physical and moral imperfections are like a judgment on what is physically and mentally virtuous, but you making a judgment on what is physically and morally virtuous is not necessarily going to be in your best interest right now. I think you're also being asked to remain connected to your guides, to your higher power, to the places that you go to for higher perspectives, for higher insights, and to remember the spirit of Monakel in these times, that the knowledge of good and evil is a higher truth, and it's something that you will never completely come to know through process, you know. We can tap into an all-knowing space where we can get some of those answers. But I think that it's important for our ego selves to remember that that's not where the judgment comes from, that's not where the knowledge comes from. It's the process of seeking knowledge, of learning about good and evil, of maintaining a student mindset that is going to allow you to actually make improvements in your life, in the world, not by judgment, not by force, not by egoic interpretations of your failures or others' failures, because there is not really any such thing as failure in the process of pursuing the knowledge of good and evil. When you are in earnest pursuing the knowledge of good and evil, that is inherently good. It's all encompassing. We are able to love our shadows and love the dark sides of life and of people and of ourselves by understanding that virtue is not about performing to the nth degree the rubric presented to you. Virtue is to be committed to lifelong learning, to be committed to humility, to be committed to the process of seeking the knowledge of good and evil from experience, from, you know, an earnest desire and taking steps to deepen and develop your relationship with your guides, with your higher power, with your higher sources, with your inspirations, with your angels. And a real angel that is on your side is not going to be trying to persuade you into a certain direction. They're just trying to shed light on things. They're just trying to share with you. They're just trying to support you because they know that all things work together for good. And even the evil is really a lesson. It's really a fertile soil. It's really a fuel. It's really a fertilizer that creates the good. And we cannot have one without the other, and it's not to say we have to have terrible atrocities happen in order for that opposite to exist necessarily. But I do believe in some sense that, what do they say, good times make weak men, weak men make bad times make strong men make good men, something like that. It's a cycle, and good and bad are not the victimizer or like the savior villain kind of complex that we like to think of it as. And when we're able to come into that space where we see the connectedness between all things and the value in the darkness, that is when we're able to step more into our power and our purpose and our sovereignty. It was by submitting to this process, submitting to this commitment, submitting to this authority, submitting to the authority of love, submitting to the authority of breaking the circle of victim, rescuer, persecutor, submission to liberation, submission to the restoration of life. This is a rebellious act. This is a theft and a destruction from the powers that be. But the powers that be were not ever the powers that are. They were always a performance. They were always a process, a composting process. They were always here for our greatest good. But those systems are actually fully fleshed out and succeeding at this time to a degree, because they need to be fully seen, illuminated, understood, visible, and in so doing, we can see how wrong they really are for ourselves, and we can know good and we can know evil from a place of gnosis. So, let me get y'all a visual of that, because I know you didn't get to see it earlier. We're just about 32 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to head out. Thank you, everybody who popped in today. I love you so much. Love, light, peace, and personal responsibility. Have a great day.